I hadn't planned on wading into a lot of the infighting that's been going on in Comicsgate over the last week. Mostly because I'm friendly with people on both sides, and it's very difficult to say anything without looking like you're taking sides or pissing someone off. And also, it doesn't involve me, so I'm reticent to pour fuel on that fire. But this is a channel that talks about Comicsgate issues, and I do have an opinion, albeit a tepid, dirty fence sitter opinion, and I'm sure I'll even get some slack for that. But let me just start off by saying I have absolutely no ill will to anyone involved in any of this, whether it be the Anna, Cecil, Roe, John, Rob Casey affair, anything with all of that stuff. I really just wanted to come in and reassure some people who were perhaps thinking that a fight like this spells the end of CG, or this is the thread that unravels it all. And while sure, infighting like this isn't helpful, it is unfortunately normal and expected, especially when you're talking about people arguing on Twitter. If anyone was there back in the old Gamergate days, it was like this times 10 every day in Gamergate. We're talking marathon streams of people just berating each other, screaming at the top of their lungs. Big personalities having week-long flame wars on Twitter. I like to think we're more level-headed than that here in Comicsgate. I hope that we are. I know for a fact that a lot of you out there are, and this is not an admonishment of anyone involved in any of these discussions. There's been a lot of shit said back and forth over the last week, and we're all human. Every single one of us can get angry and agitated and feel betrayed. But we also have to stop sometimes and remember what it is we're doing here and what we're trying to achieve. Wenger sent out a nice tweet yesterday that I liked and I thought was a nice point. He said, "The rules are different for creators and customers. Creators sell hot dogs. You can have an opinion, but arguing with the customer is always been antithetical to CG. If customers disagree with you, let your opinion be known and be clear and then move on." I agree with that in principle. Obviously, there's going to be caveats and exceptions to everything, but in general, it's a nice sentiment. The sentiment is on target. And you have to remember, there are people who are new to Comicsgate. Maybe they came on in the last year or even year and a half, maybe even in the last 6 months. They've only known Comicsgate as this network of fans and creators that put up books on Indiegogo and all that sort of stuff that's happening right now. So they're all existing in the same space with the rest of us who were here way back in the days when it was just a bunch of people on YouTube. And it was all about getting Marvel and DC to pay attention to us and change what they were doing. So if you think about it, like it was a handful of people standing on boxes in the middle of a park, and they were ranting about what they thought was wrong with comic books. And then a bunch of people started to gather and listen to them. That grew into a crowd. The crowd got larger and larger. Eventually, Zach came along with his box, and then the crowd just blew up into this massive group of people all standing around listening to a bunch of people standing on soapboxes ranting about comics books. And that was Comicsgate for a long time. And then eventually people started realizing, hey, we've got a big crowd going on here. Crowds are valuable. Crowds have money. This crowd wants something. They're pretty clear that they want something. They want a certain product. Let's give them that product. So in came the hot dog vendors. And it's easy to look at it as if, well, okay, it's the same old thing, but now there are hot dog vendors. But really, when that happened, it was a seismic shift in the nature of that crowd. It changed everything. It changed how the people inside that crowd felt about it, and it changed how the people outside that crowd felt about it. Especially since a lot of these hot dog vendors were quite well-known people. So now all of a sudden you had some people who were previously just standing in the crowd starting to sell hot dogs. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, I'm just someone in the crowd. I always was. I'm still buying hot dogs from other people, but now I'm also selling hot dogs. So you can forgive them for just kind of continuing on as they had before. But if you remember what one of the founding principles, what one of the biggest discussions were in this crowd, it was all about customer interaction with creators. So yeah, maybe that's a double standard, maybe it's not, but as a general rule, it's not a great idea to get into week-long arguments and flame wars with fans and customers. And again, I'm not putting blame on anyone. I've seen some kind of disappointing things coming from all sides over the last week on Twitter. But again, that's Twitter. That's the nature of Twitter. I don't argue on Twitter. At least I try not to. If I do argue, I argue with SJWs or I argue with antis, and that's it. That's my policy. And I keep it short and sweet, lasts for about 20 minutes, and then I mute. Twitter is just not a place that's conducive to normal human interaction. People are going to misunderstand what you say, things are going to spiral, other people get involved, it's a mess. If you need to argue, doesn't matter if you're a creator, doesn't matter if you're a fan, doesn't matter if you're both. If you need to argue with others in Comicsgate, get onto YouTube and hash it out face to face. And I think you'll find out so much of what has gone on in the last week could have just been diffused and watered down in a day if everyone had just done that. Here's Carlo Rowe. My personal rules for Twitter. Shut the fuck up, make dope shit, profit. Yep. Carlo Rowe. I mean, as far as most of us are concerned, this is his first book, his first real big campaign as someone that people actually know about. And he's made bank. And his campaign is gold standard for Comicsgate. And it's not like the guy doesn't argue. It's not like he's completely unopinionated. He's not a fence sitter. But he shuts the fuck up on Twitter. If he needs to argue, I've seen him argue on YouTube. Not seriously, but you know, he'll say what's what. He gives his opinion, he rants, and I love it when he does. I want to see more of him doing it. And then we come to Liam. Liam Gray, blown up in the last couple of days, just blown up, seemingly out of nowhere. Well, not for me, because I've been going onto his show a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. I've got to know Liam a little bit, chat with him in private, chat with him behind the scenes, and this Orange Man Good has just been catapulted into Comicsgate stardom. He was already a name. He's got Xenotype, successful campaign. He's had his show going for a while. But when I was watching his show and being involved in his show over the last few weeks, we're talking 20, 30 people watching at most, and a pretty modest chat. And it was great. But he, like me, recognized that silly flame wars on Twitter that go nowhere except down and down and down a dark ditch from which no one can escape. Get onto YouTube, hash it out in front of each other. It can get messy, it can get heated, but people can also hear in a genuine way where the person is coming from, what their true feelings are. They're not limited to a certain amount of characters and words. They can say their piece. We can hear the emotion in their voice. There's not going to be any misunderstandings or misinterpretations of what's being said. And that is invaluable. And as Ethan said, it looks like Liam has found his niche here. I think he really has. And there is a concern over this descending into another insane blood sports that just ends up being toxic rot in a community. But of anyone who were to steer this ship, I know for a fact that Liam is not out there looking to become an e-celeb. He's not doing this for clout. He genuinely just wants Comicsgate to be the best thing it can be. He wants this whole thing to succeed. So that's where he's coming from on this. And from his point of view, he's thinking, if I can get people who have beef face to face on a stream together, they can hash it out, we can diffuse this shit before it spirals out of control, as it always does on Twitter. And if you're concerned that if you see him out there asking people if you want to come on the show to talk about something, you're concerned that he's just trying to drum up drama, that's not Liam. He's just trying to help. I know the guy. His channel is blowing up, and that is just, I'm so happy for him. It's going to mean great things for him as a creator. He needs Xenotype to really do very well so he can continue doing this full time. He puts in so much effort and work into what he's doing. and I think he's someone that Comicsgate needs. So go subscribe to him, Retro Boy 1983 on Twitter, Liam Gray Conquest Comics on YouTube. I love this name. I think he should call it Enter the Thunderdome or something for his streams. That is just a great name. Well done, Kelsey. Great little graphic there. And just speaking of YouTube, I don't know if you caught it, if you caught Ethan's streams lately. He has played my memes on his streams to, a few thousand people. And talk about, as someone who creates memes and videos, seeing the, the subject of the meme, getting a good laugh out of it. That just makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? So thank you, Ethan, for showing my videos on your platform. That's just kind of the dream come true. Not only did he show the Titanic video, but yesterday he showed the animation that I made. And look, we've got Frega Boom and John and Cecil and Art there as well. And Adam Post was there. And the couple of thousand people in the chat watching got to see this for the first time. I put it up on Twitter. It got a bunch of views. But not everyone's on Twitter. A lot of people are just on YouTube. And my channel's still very small, so this is amazing. I was in the chat just sort of answering anyone who was saying, hey, where's this from? So I was in there saying, that's mine, come over, check out my channel. And a lot of you did. So yeah, it's been great to see my own channel balloon over the last couple of weeks too. I got close to 20,000 views on Twitter on this video, and that got me a bunch of new followers here, which translated to a bunch of new followers on YouTube. It seems like just the other week I was celebrating getting up to 150 subscribers, and now I'm on 388, which is just crazy to me. I guess gone are the days working days and days on a video and then putting it up and getting 20 views. So that's good. Onwards and upwards for everyone in Comicsgate. Just keep putting stuff out there. There's going to be drama. It's Comicsgate. We're fighters. We fight. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. That's why we congregated. So we're going to fight. We just have to learn to accept that. We can't let it get in the way of our ultimate goal, which is putting out the best possible comic books that we can. I know you're on board with that. I know that's what you want in your heart of hearts. Let's do it together. Let's make this shit happen. All right, guys. See you later.
When dreams and reality collide, a life is turned upside down. Thrust into conflict, where ancient shadows fight secret wars. For control of the future. Her allies hide in plain sight, but so do her enemies.